Special Weather Book and United States. Good evening to all our viewers following this special weather news program today. We are very glad to have you with us for what is being considered an extremely important update. Because on the international meteorological map, a very rare situation is unfolding. Two hurricanes could form and operate at the same time within only a few hundred kilometers off the coast of Florida as we head into early next week. According to experts, one of these storms is almost certain to intensify into a major hurricane, that is, Category 3 or stronger on the Saffir-Simpson scale, while the other has a real chance of making direct landfall in the United States. From Florida all the way up to the Carolinas. This is not only an exceptionally rare scenario in reality, but it also creates huge forecasting challenges. Because when two tropical cyclones approach one another, they can trigger what's called the Fujiwara effect, spinning around each other, shifting tracks unexpectedly, or even merging into a single, extremely powerful hurricane. Meanwhile, right on U.S. soil, more than 50 million people today are facing the threat of severe weather, especially along the entire East Coast from New England down to Georgia, where damaging wind gusts and even a few small tornadoes are possible. In other words, Americans are having to watch both major hurricanes offshore and dangerous thunderstorms on land at the same time. A truly complex and concerning weather picture. Let's first recap what has happened over the past 24 hours across the United States. A large swath of thunderstorms has developed, stretching from Kentucky all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. In many southern states, heavy downpours triggered localized flash flooding. What drew special attention yesterday was that 4 tornado warnings had to be issued by the Weather Service, even though, beforehand, the Storm Prediction Center, SPC, had not highlighted any significant tornado risk. This is a clear reminder that nature can always surprise us. And even when the risk maps are not shaded in red, tornadoes can still occur. Just a few days earlier, when the SPC highlighted a 10% tornado risk over the Ozarks, only one warning was ultimately issued. The contrast highlights how uncertain severe weather can be, and why people must always stay tuned to the very latest updates, not just the preliminary outlooks. Today, that storm line is shifting eastward, which means the entire coastline from Massachusetts in southern New England all the way down to Georgia is under threat of severe thunderstorms. The main hazard is powerful straight-line winds that can topple trees and rip off roofs, accompanied by a few small but still dangerous tornadoes. Major metro areas such as Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston are all in the risk zone, particularly during the evening commute, when heavy traffic can be suddenly disrupted by severe storms. Now let's turn to the Atlantic Ocean, where 3 systems are on the map: Hurricane Gabrielle, Tropical Storm Humberto, and Disturbance 94L. First, Hurricane Gabrielle. After days traveling across the central Atlantic, Gabrielle is now near the Azores. Residents there are urged to prepare for strong winds and heavy rain. The good news is that Gabrielle is not heading toward the United States. Instead, it will accelerate northward into the open Atlantic and gradually weaken into an extratropical system. In other words, Gabrielle poses no direct threat to U.S. land. In contrast, newly named Tropical Storm Humberto, designated yesterday afternoon, is a major concern. Currently east-northeast of the Lesser Antilles, Humberto is expected to strengthen rapidly over the next 48 to 72 hours. Possibly reaching Category 3 or even Category 4 near Bermuda, while its main path likely curves out to sea. Models cannot yet rule out a track toward the U.S. East Coast. If Humberto does become a major hurricane, both Bermuda and the eastern seaboard must keep a close watch. Alongside Humberto, Disturbance 94L is the biggest worry. Right now it is moving across Puerto Rico, still disorganized but entering an environment favorable for development as it approaches the Bahamas this weekend. Models consistently show that within 24 to 48 hours, 94L could become a tropical depression, then strengthen into the next named storm, likely to be called Alda. The troubling scenario is that as Alda nears Florida, it could bring heavy rain and strong winds along the east coast of the state before tracking northward toward the Carolinas. That is exactly what several forecast models are suggesting, meaning the risk of a U.S. landfall early next week has grown substantially compared to just 24 hours ago. The complexity increases further because Humberto and Alda could approach each other within just a few hundred kilometers off Florida. If that happens, the Fujiwhara effect may kick in, the two storms rotating around one another, abruptly changing direction, or even merging into one larger system. While merging is not the most likely outcome, simply having two storms so close together already makes forecasting extremely difficult, as each cyclone's path can be deflected unexpectedly. At this time, forecasters outline three main scenarios. Most likely, Alda develops, scrapes Florida's coast with heavy rain, then makes landfall across the Carolinas late Monday or Tuesday morning. This would bring widespread flooding rains from Florida up through Virginia, along with damaging winds. Second scenario, Alda stays offshore, sparing landfall but still producing dangerous surf, coastal flooding, and strong winds all along the southeast U.S. coast. Least likely but most dangerous, Humberto and Alda get too close, undergo Fujiwhara interaction, and combine into a massive hurricane drifting into the North Atlantic. No matter which scenario plays out, the common thread is that the risk of direct U.S. impacts in the next 5 to 7 days has risen sharply. Here is the 7-day outlook. Through Friday, disturbance 94L likely develops into a depression, bringing scattered heavy showers across the Bahamas and Florida Keys. Saturday and Sunday, as Humberto strengthens into a major hurricane, Alda may also organize into a tropical storm or hurricane near Florida's coast. Monday and Tuesday, high potential for landfall in the Carolinas or Georgia, bringing widespread heavy rain. Wednesday and Thursday, Humberto passes near Bermuda, while Alda or its remnants continue to spread rainfall across the U.S. East. During this period, Midwest and Ohio Valley states will remain hot, with highs ranging from 90 to near 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 to 37 degrees Celsius. Florida and the Northeast will be cooler but very wet due to persistent thunderstorms. Authorities urge residents of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina to begin preparations now, from evacuation planning and stocking essentials to reinforcing property. East Coast residents today should also be on alert for damaging winds and isolated tornadoes, making sure they have a way to receive real-time weather warnings. Ladies and gentlemen, the Atlantic weather pattern is extremely volatile. Just a small change in upper-level winds could completely alter the outcome. That is why it is crucial to stay tuned for updates. We will continue to provide the very latest, especially if a strong hurricane becomes poised to make landfall. If you find this bulletin helpful, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss breaking updates. You are also welcome to leave comments or share your thoughts and prayers for those in the path of these storms. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next report.